Hi, this is Dean at Sentinel Candles. In today's project, I'm going to be doing a bath bomb. Now, if you've been following me, you've seen that I've been posting a couple of recipes that I've been testing. I feel that I've got to a stage where I want to release this. I want to tell you how I make my bath bombs. So here in front of me, we've got frangipani on the left, champagne and strawberries in the middle, and sweet pea and jasmine on the right hand side. I mean, I have a pretty big hand. They weigh about 100 grams each. I make them from one of these molds, and I've got this one from Aussie Candle Supply. I'll put up a link in the description, and they also come in a smaller size. That's about 30 mil and this is 60 mil. So the bath bombs, once they're completed, these are about 36 hours and they're quite hard. I mean, that's pretty rock. They're not soft and some of the bath bombs that I've made in the past have literally crumbled to dust when I've done that. So I think I've got it pretty right, and I think that's what you need with these. You need them to be quite a solid bath bomb. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice with this setup is that I've got it on a weighing machine down the bottom. I've set it back to 0, so there's no weight on it at the moment that it can calculate. I've got my strainer in here because I'm going to tip everything into the strainer and it's not going to add to the weight, so that's why I set it back to 0. So for our first one, we've got citric acid and it's 300 grams. Okay, so I'm just going to sift that through so I know that there's no clumps or anything in there. We want to get rid of all that. We want everything to be able to pass through the strainer and not be clumpy at all. Okay, so for our next ingredients, it's baking soda and it's 560 grams. So with baking soda, they cause these little clumps. You can see them at the bottom. So you just have to push them through the strainer. Okay, so the next one is Epsom salts, and we're going to add in 100 grams. So this is not a lot. You can either use Epsom salts as they come, or you can crush them up. Okay, so for the next two items that I'm going to be putting into this recipe, it's Quail and Clay and SLSA, and I'll put descriptions of both of those in the description below. Okay, so I'm going to add 10 grams of Quail and Clay into this. Obviously this is optional, so you don't need to add this. I found that it's actually really nice on the skin. Okay, so for this next part I'm adding SLSA and it's 15 grams into the mix. This actually is what you could call like the bubble making machine of the bath bomb. Okay, so we're going to stir this and we're going to mix it in really well with a whisk. So we're just going to do this slowly. Now because I've added SLSA in here, it can make you cough badly because it's really fine powder. So what I'm doing is going through this really slowly, and at this point if you do use it you can actually get a mask and that would probably help you. Okay, so that's done and that's all nicely mixed together. Okay, so for my wet ingredients I'm going to be adding 15 mils, and for this one I'm going to be using lime, basil and mandarine. For sweet almond oil I'm going to be adding in 10 grams. Now as an optional extra, I'm going to be using polysorbonate 80. Basically it disperses the oil, so the oil's not sitting on top. And I'm going to be adding 5 grams of that. Okay, so that's it for our wet ingredients. Now we're going to add that to our dry ingredients. Okay, so at this stage we have our dry ingredients and we also have our wet ingredients. And we're going to add them slowly. And I do mean slowly. And if you'll notice, I've now got gloves on. This bit can get quite messy. So I'm just going to tip this in really slowly. I just put in a couple of drops and mix it around. Put in a little bit more, mix it around. Don't tip it all in at once because it will cause a chain reaction and you'll never get it all into every part. You want to tip it in slow so the dry bits then soak it up. Okay, so basically we're up to the point where we'd put in our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients, and now we just got to mix it all around. Okay, so for me this is a little dry still. It's not to the point where it's actually staying together. So if I squeeze it, you can see that it's crumbled, like literally in my fingers. So this is not at the point where I want it. So we're going to have to spray some water on this. It's just plain water straight from the tap in a little spritz bottle, and you just spray a couple and then mix it. I can feel it now. It's turned from silk to like a cement type feeling, and it's getting a lot tougher to move. So that should be it, I think. So squeeze it. Okay, so it hasn't fallen apart. And if you can drop it and pick it back up again. So that's our dry and wet ingredients all put into one. Now it's not colored yet, so for this particular one I'm going to do yellow, green and white. Okay, so I've got a metal container here. I'm just going to grab a couple of handfuls, throw it in there, and I've got another little container here that I'm going to use for probably my yellow, I think, and I'll do one at a time. Okay, so first one up this is going to be yellow. Now I like my colors to be quite bright. If you've ever made one of these and you've used like maybe 2 mils of food dye, which is like that, you'll know that 2 mils per bomb will be enough, but we're making 6, so you really need it to be quite strong if you want the same equivalent. So in this case I'm going to use 2 mils just for yellow. So I've got 2 mils. So I just put a couple of drops in, mix it, a couple more, mix it, and so on. So I'm going to do 3 mils to start with, then I'll go back and do an extra 2. So let's put this together. Okay, so I take my mold and I'm going to take a little bit of white and just push it in the top. Add a little bit of green to it. You don't have to pat it down or anything at this stage. Put some more white on top so there's a green layer in there. I want to grab my other bath bomb mold and add some green to it, some white and some yellow. Now the amount that I put on top is a little bit because when I squish it together I want it to cater for the other side, so it's got to be able to squash in. So hopefully everyone can see this. So I just got to push it together. And then you just squeeze until it clicks. I just put it back inside here and just leave it for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I go on with the next one. Okay, so it's been a few minutes and I'm going to take the tops off, just the tops off these ones, and see how they look. I'm going to keep the bottoms on them because I want the tops to dry. So if we just pick one of these up, look at that, top came off quite nice. It's not crumbly at all, which is really good. That's a nice texture for it. It's not solid. Like, I know if I squeeze that, it would probably just be able to put my finger marks into it. So let's try this one. Yep, that's nice as well. It feels a little softer, but that's okay. Okay, so this one here, I have to tap because clearly the top is not going to come off naturally. So just getting a spoon and lightly tapping the top while holding the bottom. There we go, gently lifting it. So here's another one that won't pop off. So I just got to hit it, tap it lightly. These are not metal like the ones on other YouTube videos, they're plastic or acrylic. Well, there we go. So that one's come up. And that one's quite nice as well. And I'll let these set for 24 to 48 hours. The longer the better, because the harder they'll go. So that's the end of the tutorial. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Please give a thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks for watching.